In today's build video, I'm gonna share with you my current Lexington meta build. Okay, so in today's build, I'm using the technician specialization because I want to pair it with my Lexington. Okay, so the reason for that is because of the link laser pointer, which is an exclusive attachment which can only be used when you're using technician. Okay, so the reason I'm using this is because I want to deal higher amounts of damage. So I'm using the talent Flatline. So Flatline allows me to get an amplified weapon damage of 15% to pulse enemies. And the link laser pointer allows me to pulse any targets or any enemies that I'm aiming. Okay, so this gun actually has a good stats because of its high base damage. Okay, so it goes with assault rifle damage, health damage, and for the attribute, it's set to damage to target out of cover. Basically, you want this attribute on all your weapons because it allows you to get another multiplier from the damage to target out of cover. Meaning, you want to boost your weapon damage so that your base value is high, and then you add more multipliers to that damage to further boost it. Okay, so next is you want to upgrade this weapon to 27% weapon damage, or you upgrade it with a level 27 expertise. You want to farm expertise because this plus 27% weapon damage, or the bonus damage from the expertise, actually makes a lot compared to having a zero upgrade on your weapon. So you want to have this to further boost your damage. Okay, so I fitted it with the C79 scope. The reason for that is to get that crit chance, and then I pair it with the muzzle brake 5.56 to get that additional 5% crit chance. The reason that I go with crit chance is because I want to ensure that my critical hit chance is above the 50% range. The reason for that is you also want to get that crit damage multiplier. Okay, so crit damage only procs when you have a high critical hit chance. Getting a critical hit chance of something below 50% actually doesn't hit that much damage because of the lower crit chance, or you proc that crit damage in a lower rate. Okay, so you want to have 50% or more. Okay, and then I also couple it with the sturdy extended 5.56 mag for that plus 20%, or plus that 20 rounds. Okay, so it makes my magazine have 50 ammo capacity. Okay, so for the secondary and the pistol, I just use and you can use any guns on this one. The reason is you will mostly rely on the Lexington. Okay, so for the gears, let's go with the gears. First, I have here my Seska mask. The reason for this is because of the first bonus from the brand. Okay, so the first bonus is that plus 8% crit chance. Again, I want to build up as much crit chance as I get so that I can proc my crit damage, or the extra multiplier from that critical hit damage. Okay, so for the core attributes, I just set it to weapon damage, and then I have crit damage, crit chance for the attributes, and another crit damage mod. The reason for that is you want to max out all those crit chance and crit damage attributes for your gears or your armors. Okay, for the expertise of these armors, I just set it to plus 20% armor or 20 expertise. The reason for that is, as you can see, I'm using an, a single blue core. The reason for that is I want to get at least 1.1 million armor. Okay, if I am using a full red, okay, I will have less survivability, but I want to at least have the time to use my armor kit so that I can heal myself or replenish my armor so that I can continue the fight. Okay, if I have 700k or 900k armor, I would not be able to pop that armor because I'm using Glass Cannon for this build. Later, I will explain why I'm using Glass Cannon. Okay, so let's go with the second gear that I'm using. Okay, so it's this backpack, the Fenris Group backpack. The reason for this is the first damage actually boosts my assault rifle damage by 10%. So I'm using Lexington, it's an assault rifle. I want to build as much weapon damage. Again, you build weapon damage and then you couple it with a lot of multipliers to boost your damage. Okay, so it has weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage, and a crit damage mod. Again, the armor is set to 20% because you want to build uh, or you want to upgrade all your gears to plus 20% armor so that you can maximize the armor output from it. Okay, so for the talent, I'm using Vigilance. It gives me an increased damage. Okay, so it gives me 25% increased total weapon damage. Again, you build weapon damage before it applies all those multipliers so that it will have a higher yield from all those multipliers. Okay, you want to get as much weapon damage. Okay, and then you stack it up with multipliers so that the output will be very high. Okay, the only problem with vigilance is that whenever you take damage it will be disabled for 4 seconds, so it's basically the best talent for DPS. However, you do not want to use this when you're face tanking your opponents. Okay, so let's go with the chess piece. I'm using the Yal chess piece for this one because I want to get the 3-piece bonus. Okay, that's the reason why I have 3 pieces of Yal in this build. It gives me 10% hazard protection, 10% additional weapon damage, and of course that plus 40% pulse resistance. If you have a specialization or a maxed out level of specialization, it gives you a passive of plus 50% pulse resistance. And then you couple it with the 3 PCL, you get another 40% for a total of 90% pulse resistance. And then if you fit your gear, your slot, the mod slot of your gear with a 10% pulse resistance, you get a total of 100% pulse resistance, making you somehow invisible, especially in the dark zone, because if they use pulse on you, they won't see you. You can misdirect them with a decoy. And then if you position yourself at the right location or spot, you can easily kill all your opponents without them noticing. Another thing about this is that it nullifies the spotter talent because, of course, if they use link laser pointer at you or they use scanner pulse, it won't affect you. Thus, the talent spotter does not work on you. Okay. However, I'm using glass cannon in this build, which the reason for that is because I get 25% amplified damage. So it will go like this. I have a high weapon damage, and then the crit damage is high, and then I get another multiplier, which is the amplified damage from this build, and then I combine it with my weapons damage to target out of cover, which will yield a high amount of damage. Okay, the only problem with this is I take 50% amplified damage myself whenever I get hit. So that's the reason why I go with pulse resistance, is that so I'm somehow able to misdirect my opponents and it will be hard for them to locate me. Okay, so for the next one, I'm using the Contractor's Gloves because of its special attribute, not because of the 10% LMG damage from the Petrov. Okay, the reason is again, I want to build up another multiplier, which is this one, the damage to armor. Okay, so you want to build uh, you want to have this build wherein you have the multiplier of damage to target out of cover and damage to armor. So you want to make use or full use of these bonuses or multipliers so that you can boost your damage. Okay, I just set it to weapon damage and crit damage for the attributes. Okay, for my holster, I'm using the Yal to get that 2-piece bonus, and then it has weapon damage, crit chance, and crit damage. For the knee pads, I'm also using the Yal for the complete gears or the 3 pieces of Yal so that I can get all the bonus from this brand. It has weapon damage, crit chance, and crit damage. Okay, so again, all my pieces are set to 20 expertise so that I get 1.1 million armor. For the skills, I'm using decoy. So again, the decoy is to misdirect my opponents. And then I can easily position myself in a new place where I can hide and shoot when where my enemies cannot locate me until the duration that my decoy can last. Okay, I have scanner pulse so that I know where my enemies are located so that they can't come from behind me without me knowing, or I can locate them whenever someone's sniping at me or someone's trying to ambush me. Okay, in the dark zone, it's important that you have good positioning and then you have good uh, map awareness. You want to know where your enemies are located so that you will have the heads up where you should shoot, where you should aim, and of course to avoid being hit from behind. Okay, so again, the gear pieces, most likely you want to build as much weapon damage, okay, to know which bonus or attributes or talents gives weapon damage. It basically says weapon damage. If it says weapon damage, it adds or it stacks up your weapon damage. That's the base value that you want to build. And then you have the damage to target out of cover, damage to armor, and crit damage as your multipliers. Again, your crit damage works in a way wherein it relies on your crit chance. So if you have low crit chance, your crit damage will only proc at lower rate. So you want to have a balance of both. It doesn't matter if you have at least 200% crit damage or if your crit chance is very low. You want to have 50% or more. So for me, I go with 55% or more so that I can proc that crit damage often. And then you want to build as much as 150% crit damage or more. Okay, so again, 50% crit chance or more, and then you want to have 150% or more, or you can even go with 140% up to 200, depending on your build. But I would suggest you have a high crit chance and high crit damage, and then combine it with a high weapon damage or the base value, and then have as much multiplier or damage multiplier from your build. Okay, so let's go with the stats. For the stats, I have 129k weapon damage, 51k PvP weapon damage, 58% crit chance, a very high crit chance, 141% crit damage. So this one is good for me because I have amplified damage and I have 75% headshot damage, 8% armor damage. The damage to target out, damage to armor. This one is 8% from the contractor's gloves, and then I have 10% damage to target out of cover from my Lexington. Okay, so this one is the build that I'm using most of the time, but sometimes I switch with my secondary build. It's the same setup, however, my chest piece is set to unbreakable for uh, more survivability because it allows me to repair my armor whenever it's depleted. So it's 95% in PV and 50% in PvP. And then I couple it with another um, YAL knee pads, but this one is also set to armor. The reason for this is when you're going with Unbreakable, you want to have a decent amount of survivability. So with these two coupled together, I have 1.2 million armor. However, my knee pads is not upgraded to 20 expertise. So if I upgrade it, I can hit 1.3 million armor with just two blue cores. And I still have a decent amount of damage because it's still at 121k weapon damage. So same skills. I have the decoy to misdirect my opponents, scanner pulse to locate my opponents. For the stats, it has 121k weapon damage, 48k PvP weapon damage, 58% crit chance, 141% crit damage, 75% headshot damage, 8% damage to armor or 8% armor damage, and 10% damage to target out of cover. So this is currently my Lexington build, the meta gun right now that I'm using. I hope this build helps you guys in playing the Division 2.